welcome to another video. You know, one of those ones you watch after you watch a trailer, when you want to know slightly more, but hoping it could come from an idiot who knows barely more than you do. You've come to the right place is what I'm saying, because we are getting into the Eternals, breaking down that trailer. It's Easter eggs, explanations for the characters, how and when it's going to be released. Leave a like if you could, because I made this video. I took the day. I mean, I know it's my job, but I set aside some amount of time to rush this out. And that in itself should count for something. Now, there are a bunch of leaks concerning the Eternals. You know, from story details and toy lines and stuff like that. I'm not going to touch on any of that, just the trailer and some of the stuff from the comics. Now, the trailer itself doesn't show that much, so I'm going to break down the world and kind of set the scene for this movie. So the synopsis reads, after an unexpected tragedy following the events of Avengers Endgame, the Eternals, an immortal alien race created by the Celestials, who have secretly lived on Earth for over 7,000 years, reunite to protect humanity from their evil counterparts, the Deviants. So yeah, as mentioned, these guys have been on Earth for quite a while. We see that in the trailer, but they've sat out all the major Marvel events, which is kind of bizarre. Endgame was a fairly big situation. Everybody was there for the Endgame, and they just sat that out along with everything else that we've seen. Where were they when Whiplash was on that racetrack? Where were they when the Inhumans were lost in Hawaii? That was a goddamn international travesty. The series, that is, am I right? Got that terrible show. The idea behind bringing this team to a big screen, or a small screen, we'll talk about it. Kevin Feige wanted kind of more ensemble movies that weren't just crossovers. You know, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's the idea here. So the Eternals themselves, I'm going to talk about the comics for a bit and then talk about how it's slightly different in this movie. So the idea is that the Celestials performed experiments on Earth on primates, creating 3 offshoots. Humans, which is us, me and you, the Deviants, evil, malformed monster people, and the Inhumans. I mean the Eternals. I'm probably going to keep on making that mistake. I apologize, but there is literally nothing I can do about it. Now, the Inhumans, Eternals, are imbued with all sorts of powers. As the name suggests, they live forever, or a really long time at the very least. They're powered by cosmic energy. They can fly, they got super strength, telepathy, teleportation, healing. They can alter stuff into other stuff. I don't think that's the direction the movie is going. I think they've got individual powers, which we will talk about. But yeah, the Celestials that created them, we've actually seen them. You might recognize them from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And as for the Deviants, well, Thanos, he technically is a deviant, just this world-wrecking lunatic. Which again speaks to why didn't they show up in Endgame? Maybe they were all snapped out. Maybe that was the realization that, hey, Thanos is doing bad stuff, we don't like him, and now there's more Thanos-esque creatures coming, so we're gonna get the team back together. We don't like any of that. We're gonna put in our special suits and use our powers. We're gonna stop that. We're gonna make that go away. So yeah, they're gonna be the main threat of the movie. We don't see them in the trailer, or not clearly. Maybe they're in the background somewhere. I don't know. As for the changes, I think this time around the Eternals aren't created on Earth. They arrive on Earth via their super spaceship. But that's fine. There are human-like creatures out in the galaxy. They don't necessarily need to be genetic offshoots of humans. Is that universe breaking for anybody? If it's not exactly the same as the comics, probably some people, I'd imagine. You're just gonna have to get over it. You're just gonna have to walk on past that. Just drop it. Let it go. So let's go through the team just quickly. Gemma Chan plays Cersei. You might also recognize her from Transformers: The Last Night. Remember that? Ugh. But no, Captain Marvel, she was in that. There was kind of some umming and ahhing about whether she'd appear in this movie because she'd previously played a character, but this has happened before in the MCU. I mean, Blade was also in Luke Cage. It's fine, don't even worry about it. She can manipulate matter, and she has a deep love and care for humanity, which not all of the Eternals do. Then we have Richard Madden as Icarus. He's the tactical leader. He can fly. He's got super strength. He shoots out eye beams from his eyes. He's like, eye beams, look out. He's pretty sure of himself. As we see in the trailer, he wants to be the leader of the Avengers. And I think this part of the trailer where they mention Iron Man and Captain America is just to reinforce it. Don't worry, everybody. There's still more Marvel stuff coming. I know Captain America and Iron Man are gone, but these guys, there could be a new Captain America. Kumail Nanjiani is Kingo. I think he shoots lasers from his hands, I think they said. He's like the Bollywood John McClane. He loves fame. What's cool about this casting is, I used to listen to the Indoor Kids, the video game podcast, maybe you have too, no longer exists, that he used to do with Emily V. Gordon, his wife, and it's cool to see him doing this. And it also gives me hope that off the back of my podcast, The Weekly Planet, that Nick Mason will also one day star in a Marvel movie, and he'll have to get all buff and then maintain it for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? He'd hate that. And for me, that's a dream that, you know, something like this would happen and ruin his existence. Leah McHugh is Sprite. She looks like a kid. She's not a kid. Because, you know, they're all like thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of years old. She does like illusions and stuff, trickster stuff, you know, Loki stuff, I'd imagine. Brian Tyree Henry as Fastus. He's an inventor. He's been helping out humanity with technological advances and such. He actually invented Google Glass, believe it or not. I've heard there's 45 minutes of the movie dedicated just to that, so that's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. He's also the first openly gay Marvel character, and they're going to depict also his home life because he has a husband and a son. And it's really good that they're actually fully leading into this, as opposed to like when they'll make a big deal of there being a gay character in Beauty and the Beast. But come on, you gotta commit to it. Anyway, his name is also similar to that of Hephaestus, who is the Greek god of making stuff. And like with a lot of these people, because they've been around for thousands of years on Earth, they've been influencing culture and religion and things like that. Lauren Ridloff is Maikari. She's got super speed. She's also the first deaf character in the MCU, and also deaf in real life, which again is a really cool inclusion. Now this character, because she's deaf, she doesn't hear the sonic booms when she's running about, so she's not affected by her powers. Makes sense? Makes sense. Barry Keoghan is Druig. He can control minds. He doesn't like humanity. He's like, humanity sucks. It seems like he's living in some kind of cult situation going on here in the trailer. I wonder if this is a mind control thing or they are worshipping him like a god. We'll see. We'll see. Don Lee is Gilgamesh. He's like a strong kind of bruiser guy, you know what I mean? He's great in that movie Zombie Train Time. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an incredible zombie movie. It's actually called Train to Busan if you haven't seen it, if you're interested in seeing it. You should see it. You should watch this movie. Salma Hayek as Ajak. She's the healer and also spiritual leader of the group. Angelina Jolie as Thena, who's a warrior who can make weapons out of energies. She can be like, pow, here's a sword, look at it. And Kit Harington is playing Dane Whitman, or the Black Knight. This guy wields his ancestor's blade, which is a magic sword that gives you powers and such. It's been passed down through the generations. It's like a worthiness thing. Not everyone is allowed to use it, and I guess they need him to tackle some deviants at some point, you know what I mean? They're like, step up, Kit Harington. We need you to bring your dull British wit and your very sharp sword into battle. Now in the comics, the Black Knight has a relationship with Cersei, and as we see from the trailer, Richard Madden's character Icarus is also involved with her. So I wonder whether this is going to be one of those kind of love triangle situations, you know what I mean? We'll see. Now, the director of this is Chloe Zhao, and she recently won an Oscar for Best Director, which makes her the first Best Director Oscar winner to helm a Marvel movie. Apparently, when becoming the director, she was a fan of the MCU, and her pitch to Kevin Feige was just incredible. Very visual, he says. And what she's done here, and you might have heard him mention this, she didn't use a lot of green screen. A lot of this is on-location stuff that they did for real. Her influences for this movie apparently stem back to Jack Kirby, who created the Eternals, other stuff that's appeared in the MCU, fantasy and sci-fi, manga. I guess it's because the Eternals have influenced a bunch of stuff in the universe, retroactively at least, so we're going to see shades of everything in them. Now, the release of this movie, you might be like, what's going on? When's this coming out? Well, it was actually set for release in November of 2020. That's right, you missed it. It's already out. You missed it. Just kidding. It was moved. It was moved to February of 2021. You missed it again. It's already out. It's gone. No, I'm doing jokes. I'm doing tricks. So November 5th, 2021 is when it's coming out. Now, Black Widow, in July, it's going to be released day and date with Disney+. Pandemic's still going on. They're hedging their bets. It makes sense. As for Shang-Chi, that comes out in September, and that's going to have a 45-day theatrical window, which is incredibly short compared to how things used to be. There's no confirmation on what's going to happen with the Eternals, but I'd hazard a guess that it would probably have a similar 45-day window situation, depending where we're at with the pandemic. That could very well be extended. Look, it's essentially going to be, how can we get the most money out of people? And Disney will do that, because they're a business, and that's what businesses, that's how they business. That's their business. That's none of our business. Also, it's probably not going to be released in China because it wasn't on their list of films releasing in 2021. Chloe Zhao, she was born in China, but she has been openly critical of a number of their actions, so it's really unlikely that we're going to see that or, I think, any other Marvel movies released in China this year. So there you go. That's none of my business. That's China's business. Anyway, I know what people are really thinking right now. They're thinking, you promised that you were going to do the mask for Caravan of Garbage this week. You were going to talk about the movie The Mask, and that's true, but then this trailer happened, so I haven't released that video, but it is finished, it's done, it's ready at bigsandwich.co if you do want to check it out. Otherwise, it will be out on Thursday. But if you do sign up there, which you are more than welcome to, there's bonus podcasts, including that podcast, The Weekly Planet I mentioned before. That goes up a day early on Sunday where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. There's also movie commentaries and a bunch of other early videos that go up there, if you are so inclined. It's like a Patreon tier, you know what I mean? Except it's independent of Patreon. So we get more of the money. And that's my business. Don't you even worry about that, all right? That's me. That's for me to worry about. Anyways, what do you think of the trailer? It doesn't really show much. I know some people are disappointed by that, but I like that. Look, we're going to get the next trailer where it goes like, the world is changing. An old threat is emerging. You thought you were safe, but turns out that, ooh, get the team back together. You know, we're going to get all of that. Don't even worry about it, okay? It's not out to November. We've got plenty of time. Anyways, I think it looks good. It's got some amazing looking shots in this movie. It's got some amazing looking arms in this movie, courtesy of Kumail Nanjiani. If you spotted anything in this trailer that I didn't, leave it below. You got any thoughts, leave it below. That'd be great. All right. Did you leave a like? If you haven't by now, maybe you should. All right, I'm out of here. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Genuinely. Seriously, thank you.